So, we are studying the lesson 4 of movements in the kingdom of foods. We have done the first part of the story and now we will do the next part. Before that, I revise the lesson for you. And in the first part, we have read how a rich, you can say foolish king, he had put all of them in trouble. His public in trouble, and how one person is blaming other is blaming other, and how the story continues. This is page number 23. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle, thought the king back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It was not me but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead, I am innocent." Now the goldsmith, he named the merchant, that he said that I was making jewelry for a rich merchant, and who was that merchant? The same person whose wall had fallen, who came in the bill. And he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now the justice had come to the full circle. The story ended where it started, he thought the king, and back to the merchant when he was rudely summoned. And he rudely called that merchant to the court, and he came there crying. He said, it was not me but my father who had ordered the jewelry. It is none of my fault, and now my father is dead. I am innocent. I should not be punished for them. But the king consulted his ministers and ruled decisively. It is true that your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in this place, and you have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were the root of this horrible crime, and you must die. Now the king, he consulted his ministers, and he said, it is true that it is your father who has built this wall. It is your father who had ordered the jewelry, but he is dead now. He is no more. Since the crime had happened, somebody has to be punished, because you have inherited all the property of your father. You have inherited his sins as well, and so you are the root cause of this trouble, and somebody must be punished, and you will be punished for his crime. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. As a servant sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense, and the king was too worried about it. The king ordered a new stake means panda, to be ready for the execution, for the punishment, and the servants, they made a new stake. But what they found that the stake was, the rich merchant, he was very thin, and the stake became big. They again consulted the king, what should be done? The king was very much worried about it. What should be done? What shall we do? He said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would fit the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas, rice, wheat, and ghee. As you know, the king was very foolish. He is not having the good sense of doing justice. He said, an idea came to his mind, struck to his mind, that we have to find a man who could fit this stake, because the crime had happened and we have to punish somebody, because this person, he could not be fitted in this stake, and so we should find a fat. So he sent his servants to look around to find a person who is fat, who could fit in that stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple, the same disciple who had fattened himself for months, eating on bananas, rice, because he was a very food lover person. He was a foodie. He keep on eating rice, wheat, ghee, dry fruits, whatever he get, because everything was very cheap there, and he grew fat. Now the king's disciples, king's palace, they saw him and they brought him before the king. What have I done wrong? I am innocent. I am a sannyasi, he cried. Now he was crying that I haven't done anything. I am the innocent person. I am a sannyasi. I have not anything to do with this. That may be true, but is the royal decree. Decree means order. But then we should find a man fat enough to fit the stake, they said, and carried him to the place of execution. He remembered his wise guru's word. This is a city of fools. You don't know what they will do next. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry. Wherever he is, the guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into such a scrap through love of food. Now, the king's palace, they said, it is true that you are innocent, you haven't done anything, but it is a royal decree. It means order that you should find a fat person who could fit into this state, so we have to take him. So he was taken to the place of execution. Now the disciple, he remembered the words of his guru. What did he say? What did he say? He said, this is a city of fools and you don't know what they will do next. They will put you in trouble. And now he remembered his guru. His guru was a visionary person. He was having magic powers. He could see present, past, future. And through his magic powers, he saw that his disciple was in trouble. So he reached there. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and addressed him, O wisest of king, who is greater, the guru or the disciple? Now the guru reached there. First of all, he scolded the disciple that I have already told you that you should not stay here, but you didn't listen to me. Now you put yourself in trouble. Then he told something in a slow voice to him, and he went to the king and asked him, O wisest of the kings, you are a very wise person. Do please let me know who is greater. The guru is greater or the disciple is greater? Of course the guru, no doubt about it. Why do you ask? He said, of course, guru is greater, and why are you asking this question? Then put me to the stake first, put my disciple to death. Then he said, if you agree that the guru is greater than the disciple, then you should put me to stake first, and after that you should put to death to my disciple. When the disciple heard this, he understood and began to clamor, me first, you brought me here first, put me to death first. Not. Now the disciple, he can very well understand the trick of his guru, and he began to say, no, you have brought me first here, you should put me to death first. The guru and the disciple now got into fight about who should go first. The king was puzzled by this behavior. He asked the guru, why do you want to die? We choose him because we needed a fat man for the stake. Now they started fighting, they started quarreling. He said, I should die first. The guru said, I should die first. Now the king was very much confused. He said, why do you want to die? We choose this person, we brought this person, your disciple, because we needed a fat man. Why do you want to die? You shouldn't ask me such question. Put me to death first, replied the guru. He said, no, I can't tell you this thing, but you should put me to death first. Why? There is some mystery here. As a wise man, you must make me understand. But the king said that you are a very wise person, but there is some mystery in it that you want to die. Please let me know. Will you promise to put me to death if I tell you? Asked the guru. The king gave him his solemn words. The guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him, do you know why we want to die right now? The two of us. We have been all over. We have been all over the world, but we have never found such a city like this and the king like you. The stake is the stake of God of justice. It is new and it has never had a criminal on it. Whoever dies on this first will be reborn as the king of the country, and whoever goes next will be the future minister of the country. We are sick of our aesthetic life, and it would be nice to enjoy ourselves as king and minister for a while. Now keep your words, my lord, and put us to death, me first. Now the king was asking again and again, why do you want to die? And the Guru said, let me, I'll tell you all this thing, but please promise me that you will put me to death first. The king promised him, and the Guru took him aside at one side so that nobody else can listen it, and in a slow voice he said that do you want to know why we want to die first? Because we have been all over the world. We have roamed all over the world, and we have never found a city so beautiful like this, and we have never seen a king like you. So this stake is a stake of God, God of justice. This is a sacred stake, and it has never seen a criminal, and whosoever will be, you can say, put to death on this stake will become the next king, and who will die at the second number, he will become the minister. So we want to enjoy this kingdom of this country. That is why we want to die first. Now, because we are very much sick of our aesthetic life, we are sick of roaming here and there. Now we want to enjoy the status of this king of this beautiful city. So we want to become king and minister of the city. The king was now thrown into deep thought. He didn't want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time, so he ordered the execution postponed to the next day and talked in secret with minister. It is not right for us to give our kingdom to others in the next life. Let us go to the stake ourselves, and we will be reborn as king and minister again. Holy man, do not tell lie, he said, and the minister echoed. Now he was in deep thought, and he didn't want to lose his kingdom. He wanted to become the king in next life also. So he postponed the execution, and he said, and he consulted his minister. He said, it is not right for us to give our kingdom to others, and these are holy persons. They cannot tell a lie. Whatever they are telling, it might be true. So we should not give it to. We should let's die on this stake first. So he told the executioner, we'll send the criminals tonight, and when the first man comes to you, put him to death first, and then do the same to the second man. These are my orders. Don't make any mistakes. He has postponed the execution. Now he secretly called the executioners. He said, I'll send these criminals to you tonight, and the person who comes first, he should be put to death first, and when the second person enters, you should also put him to death, and these are my orders, and you should not make any mistakes. You should have to follow this. That night, the king and his minister went secretly to the prison, released the Guru and disciple, disguised themselves as a Guru, and arranged beforehand with loyal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. Now the king and the minister, at night, they went to their prison, they released Guru and disciple, and they disguised themselves as the Guru and his disciple, and with some loyal servants, they went to the stake and they were executed. They were given punishment. When the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister, and the city was in confusion. And after death, after execution, when these bodies were taken to be thrown to the crows and vultures, the people saw these were the bodies of king and minister, and they got panicked. Everybody was in confusion. All night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the Guru and the disciple and caught up with them as they were preparing to leave the town unnoticed. We people need a king and minister, said someone. Others agreed. They begged the Guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister, and it didn't take many arguments to pursue the disciple. But it took longer to pursue the Guru. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly ministers on the condition that they would change all the laws. And for the whole night, the people were mourning the death of their king and the minister, and they were discussing the future of their kingdom also. And somebody thought about Guru and the disciple, and they caught them up when they were preparing to leave, and they requested them that the people need a king, we need some minister, and they requested them that you should stay here and you should become our king and minister. Now the disciple, who was very greedy, he agreed at once, but it took some time for the Guru to be agreed, and they finally agreed that they will rule the kingdom of that foolish king and the silly minister, but they put a condition that they could change, or they would change all the laws of that country. From then on, the night would again be night and day would again be day, and you could get nothing for her to do. It became like any other place. Now the king, the Guru and the disciple, they ruled the country, but they set everything right. They made day as day, night as night, and they could not get anything for 1 rupee, and it became like the city became like any other. So this was all about the story. Thank you.